Perfect. Well, hello, everyone. And we have you muted, and at the end, we'll make time for community conversation. But during the rest of it, there's going to be people who are going to listen later, so I would ask that we do the presentation part. But then I always love to hear from you and know what's going on in your hearts and minds. Some of you don't know me because my good friend Lori Lothian, and I want to give her a shout out. She's going to be doing a Become Your Own Astrologer class coming up real soon. She sent it out to her tribe yesterday, and we got a lot of people that I had never met before who joined us. And so if you're part of Lori's tribe, I listen to her faithfully. She has this astrology, lunatic astrology. I'm not sure what it's called on there, but I listen to it regularly, and we've been fellow fans for a long, long time. Kind of like we all were part of this thing called the Next Top Spiritual Author, and we all kind of grew up together, becoming who we were and stuff like that. So this updating your vision before the fall equinox, it's you've heard a lot of manifesting classes probably if you're here. Most of us have, we all started probably with The Secret many years ago. What I bring here is a little bit different, is that I bring it from a perspective of a nature inspired point of view. And that's what I'm going to teach you about, is how do we take our visions and our goals and put them into a nature inspired point of view. And I hope you like this perspective, and I'd love to hear from you later about it. So first of all, I didn't put this in here. One of the things we like to do in the Wind Clan is to laugh when we start. And so this laughter is a form of thank you to yourself. There's nothing like a good old belly laugh to laugh. And we can usually find something funny to laugh about, like, the way the universe kind of, when you've got something big going on, the universe piles on more. Like right before I was getting ready to start, my friend calls, my car won't start. Can you bring your car over? I need to borrow your car. So, of course I have to like, trump, 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 go get my friend, and that's the kind of thing. So I know that this is going to be really big energy today because the universe has kind of just tried to disrupt my day all day long. So I would invite you, Erica, can you unmute everyone to laugh with me about how the universe tries to disrupt our lives? When we have a plan, the universe says, uh-huh, ha-ha. Oh, right. So isn't that a great way to start a webinar, is by laughing? I'm going to mute you all. Just hopefully I'm not muted, and we can have. So in laughter is the way that we're going to get through this next phase of our time. These winds are going to continue to blow. There's going to be lots of crazy things going on, not because there's some big thing. Well, there is some big thing, but and I'll tell you a little bit about my philosophies, but that the world is in a fall cycle. So we're in a fall cycle, but the world is in a fall cycle. And what does that mean? You're going to learn what that means today. But because of it's in a fall cycle, and that's kind of a period of decay, there's nothing off about it. It does this every, few 100,000 years. We're just part of it. And so it's a little bit hard to navigate. So what I would like to say is, first of all, that thank yourself for being here. Everyone give yourself a pat on the back, because visioning is an act of bravery. I got this email today from somebody who was wanting to present at a conference I do in April that said, well, why should we be hopeful? And like, I didn't read the rest of it, but I don't think she meant that she was full of despair. I think she meant that, giving people a reason to be hopeful was, a worthwhile thing to do. But I want to say that visioning is an act of bravery. Think about it in your life, like when you really have to step out when you really want to step out and make a change. I'll tell you, I'm working on my second book, and I swear took more bravery out of me to write a second book than the first book, because I was so naive the first time that when I got to the second book, I'm there like, why would anyone do this again? Like you just spend 5 years writing the book, and then you get it published, and all of a sudden you're looking at this book and you're thinking, okay, I'm a Hay House author. I've made it. I'm going to be famous. And then all of a sudden you have to sell these books. And, it's like the courage came after the writing, after the publishing, because I was too naive to know. And so I really think that when I set out on a new vision of creating a second book, that's going to be a lot more, that took a lot more courage and a lot more clean. I was a lot more clean because I cleaned up a lot of the emotional shoulda, couldas, wouldas along the way. But the one thing that I've learned from writing the book Winds of Spirit, and if you haven't read it, I'd really suggest getting a copy, because it wasn't the book that I was intending to write, but it was the book that was intending to write me. And it was the book that needed to come out at that time. And it's because these winds of spirit, these winds of change, they didn't get the name Winds of Change all on their own. They got these names because for eons, they've been the movers of consciousness, the movers of ideas, the movers of manifestation. And so these wind spirits have come out a few times in history, and it's always been at cataclysmic moments of like, make it or break it. Like a lot of times there was, so supposedly this about 14,000 years ago, comet hit the earth, and, the dinosaurs went extinct, we froze over, lots of different things happened. But that when you start to see the stories from that time period of the creation stories, a lot of my work goes back. I have a whole thing about the dynamic winds of creation processes, their alchemies of creation, which there isn't enough time in this little workshop to cover. But all of those creation stories back then had the winds as movers. So I'm going to teach you today just a little bit about how to bring the wind in to help you move your ideas, your creations forward. And so there's this, the bottom line is nature supports you moving forward. Nature provides the wind so that your dreams and schemes, they're all pretty much spirit driven. You come in with some dreams and schemes, but that it's the nature that moves you forward, and you just may not have looked at it that way. So in this tradition, the east wind is Eurus. And I say in this tradition, but Mary Poppins blew in on the east wind, and Sherlock Holmes talked about an east wind. The Bible talks about the east wind. And in the Vedic tradition, all mind, memories, and beliefs are stored in the east. They're all stored. So the east wind is about how you think. And so it's really important when you are manifesting to think, to know what your beliefs are, to know what you think about. Then the south wind is about needs and desires and how you feel. And so once you think about something, for example, close your eyes. So think about a spat you just might have had with somebody, or a disagreement, or a line at the grocery store. And where are you feeling that in your body? I'm like getting it all over my shoulders. Now, let's clear that out. Now, think about a grandbaby or a child or your favorite pet or a lover at sunset. And do you notice that that tends to feel like a little bit more expansive than the than the way that you like were feeling with the stress? So because so we have this ability as human beings to have these thoughts, but then they automatically turn into some kind of a feeling. Sunset. Ah, fight. And so this is how it goes. But I'm going to teach you a little secret as we go along. Where we have to put the pedal to the metal though is in the West. Is with the when here we are in the West. So we're thinking like, oh, you could look at the West as two things. You could look at, oh, the West were, coming into the last, 3 months of the year. I didn't really get what I wanted this year. Or you can think about the farmers plant a second planting for the fall. My friend's got some Brussels sprouts growing and she's got some cabbage and I've got some onions out there. There's a second planting. But if we're still going back over here and what we didn't get over in the first part of the year, we miss out on the abundance. And the North is about, is there buy-in for our ideas? One time I ran a holistic network for 10 years. It was pretty premature. And I felt like I was dragging the community along. I wasn't getting the buy-in of the community. And so it felt like, felt like a Santa Claus bag of trash that I was carrying. And, and here I'm believing, probably a lot of you are like this, I'm believing I'm doing something really good and good of service. And yet I'm getting more and more exhausted. I'm getting tired. I'm not getting my needs met. I'm getting frustrated, all of these things because I might have somewhere along the line misinterpreted exactly what Spirit was saying. So our ancestors relied upon nature for better outcomes. And what happened? See, when we heard all of these tricks about manifesting, we were still manifesting from the inside looking out. I have this real big belief, and I'm writing a book about it, that what happened was that we moved from the outside when we were part of nature and as hunter-gatherers, we moved inside. And speaking of wind, we put in wind eyes. That's what they were called, wind eyes, to separate us from the outside. And then over the course of 15,000 years, we continue to separate ourselves further and further and further till now we have kids who aren't even spending a few hours a week in nature. And new studies are showing that you have to spend at least 2 hours a week in nature to be happy or to remain consistently happy. So this work is about reawakening our relationship to the inner and outer world because that's where the magic happens. And what better time to do it is at like the equinoxes, because look at here at Chichen Itza over over on the left hand of this side. Can you see it? When the equinoxes hit, there's a snake that goes up the side of that pyramid. And the ancestors built the first observatory to track the sun's progress. And just no different than you. They needed to know where they were at any given time in order to make a difference and have better outcomes in their life. And right now, This is the most complementary time of the year to organize and straighten out your lives. The winter and the summer solstices, okay? Let me just tell you a little story about the north and the south wind. They're opposed. The cold north wind and the south wind are in opposition. One's hot, one's cold. Light and dark are more complementary. It's like the sun moves across the sky. The sun moves across your life. And so if we start to use this complementary energy of this equinox when everything's in balance, it's like you can slide in along with that snake and make a really good change in your life. That's what it's about. Because on the equinox, this is why you can sneak in. There's no shadow. There's like the shadow disappears because here we are. We have there's the equinox ceremony. Here, this equinox, this rock up at Machu Picchu. It's a sundial basically, but what it measures is the equinox because it's the place where things are in balance and that you can start to adjust from the place of no shadow. And when they know that this is the time of no shadow, it gives you a time to plant what they call a shadow crop and move forward with knowing this information. And for those of you, most of you are in the United States, we tend to like think we need to go to other countries to get our information and stuff like that, but it's just not true. I went outside the other morning, I was letting the cat out, and the wind speaks to me, okay? Just get used to it. Said, why don't you look at this crack in your driveway here, and you stand on that crack every single day, and you watch where the sun is in relationship to your morning blessing. So I go out there and I say, good morning. Good morning. And I'm watching as the sun moves across the sky. I'm also, because I built a house with some really high windows over here, I'm watching where the sun comes and sets every night. Who else does that? Raise your hands. Put it in the chat box if you watch where the sun changes over there. Well, think about it. Through this process, right? The natural forces of nature are moving the sun, the earth. That's not moving the sun, but it's moving, we're moving, rotating. That same force of nature can move you along to accomplish your goals. When you get aligned to that as your marker. I'm loving this, and I hope you all think about joining me about doing this this measure so you could start to really see like, okay, so it'd be really nice for you today to look at like one goal you have still for the rest of the year and start to measure it in terms of how the sun moves. Now think about that. If you start to look at a goal in terms of how the earth tilts and how the earth moves and how it pivots and how it's pivoting you forward, isn't that way more reasonable than thinking about like, oh my God, I've got 2-3 months to go before I'm going to be making New Year's resolutions. But I'm here to tell you, in my system of this nature-based system, stop making New Year's resolutions. Why on earth would anyone be making a New Year's resolution when you're hibernating? Do you think the bear that's sleeping is sitting there like, oh, this spring, I'm gonna like this, when I come out of this deep sleep, this darkness, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds. I'm gonna take the world by storm. No, we've got it all wrong. Everyone like, okay, on January 1st, we're going to like, but so this to me is the time where you really get to reap what you've been sowing all year. That's my little introduction. Now I'm going to introduce you to the wind. And I'm going to introduce you to the wind so that you can understand that there's a dynamic force of nature that's here to help you achieve a goal. You still with me? All right. So what we want to do is one of the things about that no shadow day, I call that gap energy. It's when you can slip in between the cracks. And this is why I'm teaching this week, so you can practice for a week. Okay. So someone said to me, it's not the equinox. Why are you teaching a class today? I said, I don't know, but there's 400 people signed up. So clearly people are in the mood to be manifesting, and they're wanting to make more out of this year. And they want to get something for themselves that they might not feel like they've gotten yet. So a little practice this week, and on that day when the sun and the day and the night are equally aligned, there's no shadow, including your own shadow. Does that make sense? You can, like, there's no shadow, so you can sneak in between the cracks. And that's where the magic lives. All right, so some of you have seen me wind whistle, some of you have never seen me wind whistle, but this is how it goes. So I have all kinds of wind whistles. First, I thought we'd be playing this big wind whistle, but then I was just showed, no, it's this wind whistle. So the wind whistling, what the wind whistling tool does, and I have plenty of them on my website, is, and they're all handcrafted tools, it brings you present. I used to work with a woman who was severely bipolar, and when she'd get going to the manic, she'd start to play her wind whistle, and it'd bring her back into center. So it's a tool to help you come back into center, and we use it in the Wind Tribe to open up sacred space. So I'm going to invite you to whistle with me, and if you don't have a whistle, you can go. Because what it is it's clearing out any dead energy that's sitting in your gut and all of that. So we're going to close our eyes. And yesterday I happened to call to a wind spirit, and I knew this was going to be powerful because it was Amunet. She is the Egyptian wind of obscurity, and it's about hidden forces that are at play. And if you're you can go over to join the Wind Clan to hear more about her, because the recordings in my private group, and it's private, but you can join. So what we do is we breathe in, we hold it to a count of 7. And on the first wind breath out, we let it go into the earth. We let the earth mulch what's the earth mulch. And then on the second wind breath, we call to Amunet, the Egyptian wind of obscurity, of the hidden forces that are at play during this auspicious, well, it's an auspicious new moon today too, this auspicious new moon time, so that we can start to dream what it is we still want to accomplish this year. And we'll go into that a little bit after this. And I have a journey at the end too that I created for you to actually, if you hadn't quite figured out what it is you still want to do or don't want to do, the journey will help you get clear about that. And that's at the end of today's presentation. And then we're going to, on that third wind breath in, we're going to connect ourselves in community. So we're in this sacred circle so that we can be here now together. All right, so let's start, and we're going to breathe in. And as you exhale, breathe it out down through your coccyx bone into the belly of the mother to mulch. Stay in the emptiness for as long as you can. And on that next wind breath in, we're going to bring in Amunet, the winds of obscurity. And as we breathe out, we're going to join with that energy. What's hidden in that emptiness? And on that third wind breath in, bring in the magic. And magic multiplies when we're in community. Whew. I don't know about you, but that changes me for sure. One thing that I always had a little bit of an issue with was the first time that I saw The Secret, and they've been beat up plenty, is that they made it sound like if I wanted a Tesla, I could imagine myself in the Tesla and, see how it felt and get myself driving a Tesla. Yeah. But I believe that that is a part of it, but I don't believe it's the whole story. And the thing is I don't need a Tesla. I never really had much of an interest in a Tesla. So why on earth would I want to manifest like a big fat house on the cliff of the ocean when I'm really happy with my little 750 square foot house that overlooks, the pine trees? So the biggest thing is like to be able to have a dream of something that you really want. That's something that you really need. That's something that you really cherish. And some of the things that we do is that our dreams change. One time I prioritized this. I did this passion class, and they had us make a list of 10 things that I wanted. And on the top of my priorities was becoming a Hay House author. I think it was a New York Times best-selling Hay House author, or was a best-selling author. I don't know. And this was in 2010. Or I don't know what, no, it was like 2004. And then in about 2010, I realized I still wasn't that author. And then I had to take a hard look at my life. And this is the part that most of us don't want to do, is that hard look at our life. I saw like, well, how many hours a day are you spending writing? And I'm like, well, I might write down an occasional dream. And so then I was taking a social media class with Mari Smith, and I said, well, how did he write that book and run this big organization? And she said a point, and it hit me. She said, oh, he gets up 2 hours earlier every day. And I'm there like, okay. And I realized that I needed to get up a couple hours earlier every day in order to write. And so as soon as I did that, Spirit started waking me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I started writing for a couple hours in the morning, and then I wrote that book. And it took 6 years. And like I said, but that was only part of it. I had the intention that I set out there, okay? That was my intention, and I'm going to skip down here to the north. So I had that attention, and in 2005, I happened to meet I met somebody who happened to work at Hay House, and we had trout in Peru, and we became kind of friendly. So it was set up for me. The setup was there. We met. She happens to be, the vice president now, but we had she wasn't then, but we had the setup. So spirit heard me. I got the setup, but then I had to go back through this cycle of these wins several times in order to be aligned to my goal. See, that's some of the problem is we're not always aligned to our goal. And so the thing is like, so anything is possible with aligned thinking. And that means you have to believe that you can do it. Because if you don't believe that something's possible, it's not going to happen, first of all. But sometimes our thinking is so askewed that we need to do some work there. Like, I do this manifesting class with this Swami, and he says to people like, well, people make this list. Oh, I want $1 million. Well, are you in a $50,000 price range, or are you, $800,000, a few jumps away from being $1 million? So, like, not to say that you couldn't get to the $1 million, but that first you got to get to that first 6 figures before you get to the 10 figures. And so sometimes that, and some people might just have that, oh, I'm going to win the lottery. But usually what you hear about a lot of those times when people win the lottery is they lose all that money too, because they're not aligned to their compass. They're not aligned to nature that really wants to give you everything that you want, but it makes you meet it. So the emotional clarity of the South really matters too, because, okay, I got the book. I got the best-selling of Amazon. I didn't get the New York Times best-selling. And I went into a big fat pout. I thought the publisher should do it all for me and I was going to be famous. And why wasn't I like this one on the stage and that one on there? And my emotional baggage took me back 3 steps. So you have to do the emotional work to bring you in alignment with the thinking. Chances are maybe the next book is going to do better because I've cleaned up a lot of that emotional stuff. You can't have the one without the other. And if you do, it's kind of like an old paradigm. It's kind of like a old, you see it a lot where people aren't, they're not waking up to the fact that they want to be in integrity with themselves. That's not the way I teach. I teach that you can get what you want, but you have to be integrity, because otherwise you'll either lose it or you won't know how to embrace it, or something else is going to happen. You're responsible to make that change. No one else is going to save you or save your seat. It's been a really interesting lesson learning how to hold that space, hold that energy. And luckily, how I said the North opens the door. I met the woman in Peru. Then, by the grace of God, and I must have to say it's grace, and I think the universe wants me to do something important. I think I am doing something important, but the universe wants me to stay in this teaching spot. All of a sudden, Sandra Ingerman comes along and says, hey, Spirit's telling me to do a podcast with you. And I had to learn to hold that. I had to learn I never studied with her or anything. I had to learn to hold that this was what Spirit was intending for me, that I had nothing to do with. So that a lot of times there's a lot of gifts along the way. But if your thinking is off, your emotion is off, or you're not taking the right action, it doesn't matter. Who was it? Brooke Medicine Eagle once said, those are missed opportunities. How many people here, put it in the chat, has ever missed an opportunity based on having a tantrum or not being ready for something, or, like really missing out on a really grand opportunity because they weren't ready for it when it came, and they couldn't change, you couldn't adjust the thinking, couldn't get out of your emotional way. I mean, you were an addiction or something that kept you from that moment. And trust me, I don't think I think that there are some missed opportunities. There really are some. but there's a lot of opportunities that aren't for us too. So sometimes we miss an opportunity and we beat ourselves up for 20 years when we're missing the opportunity that really was for us. So, it's kind of a catch 22. This was like this is the spirit's plan. The auspicious meeting over trout, the hay house, the shaman's cave, the wind clan. The one that I wasn't expecting was one time the psychic said, "Oh, you're going to work with young people and like young men." And I was thinking, this is me. You get somebody read you got to be careful about what the psychics say. But they said you're going to work with young men. Well, what I didn't realize was I was thinking, I'm going to get a lot of young men in my healing practice. No, I'm running a marketing department at a behavioral healthcare organization that the two owners are 35 and 34. One's a rabbi with a 25th generation rabbi. Who could have imagined that? So the thing is if we try to get so fixed in that Tesla, we can't even imagine that spirit has this or something better for us. Now, 2 reasons we don't pursue our goals. You don't really want it. You think you do. You think but you don't want it mentally. Somebody was listening to what I said yesterday and she said, yeah, I'm not physically up to that goal anymore. You might say, I want to hike Huayna Picchu, but you know what? Let me tell you, I'm glad I hiked Huayna Picchu when I was in my early 40s. I don't know if I'm going to be down to Machu Picchu, hiking up the Huayna Picchu and going down the other side for 10 hours. So a lot of our goals, because they are just not aligned to where we want to be now. And, that's the part that we have to realize. You don't believe your dream is possible. Check in with yourself. Look at something you were intending on creating this year that you didn't create. Maybe it's one of these 2 reasons. You don't believe it's possible or you don't really want to do it. And you know what? It's perfectly okay to change your mind. So look at your goals for the year. And this is what we're going to do in this journey we're going to do is we're going to look at our goals to see, do you believe if they're possible? And this is, if you've made a vision board, I made a new vision board for the fall because, a lot of times these vision boards are so cram full that you have to cut them. And one of the things we do in my work is we just deconstruct our vision board. And I may do that in the 5-week class I have coming up, making one and deconstructing it. People get very attached. But, do your dreams still have juice? When you think about them, are you still passionate? Juice. Is there momentum? This is the important one because we're in the West. We're harvesting. We're out in our gardens harvesting. And Erica can tell you she's got, she's harvesting plants to make something. If she didn't weed her garden all summer, her herbs are going to be dead. Have you taken appropriate steps this year to get the harvest? And if not, if you go out there and your tomatoes are in wilt, that's why. And then how has spirit intervened in a way that was useful or not for you? Now here's the little trick. This is the part that they didn't tell you. So you're hearing it here, and I don't know if you've ever heard it anywhere else before. We infuse the power of breath into our goals. What is that? We know that the wind brings in the magic, that it's the creation is in the breath. So a lot of times you'll hear in manifesting class, okay, what you think, then you feel. No, what you breathe. What you breathe first is where you put that breath of life is the creative aspect of this. So what are you breathing into your goals? What are you breathing into your goals? Are you breathing out, some bad energy? Or are you breathing in every single day? I'm going to breathe in some life into my goals. I'm going to do it with my wind whistle. It's me going downstairs and greeting the sun every morning, say, good morning. Look at, because I bring up the air. I say, this is going to be a great day. And the air moves the energy around. You need the wind to bring your goals to light. Our ancestors knew this. They knew the incantation was the magical formula to manifest. And one of the ones, if you don't know any other ones, is abracadabra. So once you go through this journey that I'm going to take you on really soon here, is that you say, we go to the abracadabra. Help me, spirit, bring this energy to life. I create like the word. And one time I was sitting in a Christmas mass. I love Christmas. I love all churches. I love synagogues. I love where there's spirit, I like to be. And so I was sitting in this church service, and he was talking about the word, the word, the word. And every time he said the word, I say the wind, the wind, the wind. And so he'd say the word and I'd say the wind. Go direct. Breathe life into your creation. Part of that story I was telling you about before, about looking out through the wind eye, one of the things that happened there was all of a sudden we didn't go direct anymore. We had to go to church. We had to ask somebody else. We had to find out from somebody else how to go direct, how to get those direct revelations. And now we can go direct. We can go abracadabra. I create. I am that power. So to maximize your power of your visions, set intentions for this upcoming. This is some work you're going to have to do after this. Set intentions for the season. What's your daily visualization? Maybe you can go outside like I'm doing and measuring the sun where it's moving each day, or doing this abracadabra. What a beautiful day. Embrace the change. It's here. You could go boxing against this change, but you know what? You're going to be boxing the wind. Set one intention for the season. Do what I did. You could make a vision board for the fourth quarter. Here's my vision board. I took some flowers out of my garden. I took some dead stuff out of my garden because, it's dying and decaying. But you know what? Death and decay goes into the earth and it brings new life. It feeds the earth. And then you can do action-oriented SMART goals. I believe we create from need and desire. You need the green cup and I need the brown cup. And that's the good thing, is because when we think like, oh, there's not enough because, there's already 10 best-selling. No, they got the green cup, you got the brown cup. So don't think that this is an abundant world and we're all unique creators. So Eurus, you give that wind. Is my dream possible? Notice, do I really need this? Do I deserve it? Do I really want it? The west wind Zephyrus, is my need great enough to take action? There's the big one. Is my need great enough to take action? The north wind Boreas provides momentum and allows for the element of surprise. The abracadabra surprise. So we're going to do a journey here, but I'm going to give you a quick little pitch. So some of you came here, you've got things you want to do, and you need more support to do them. I'm going to be doing a Finish the Year Strong program, which is 5 Wednesdays beginning October 1st or 4th. And it includes teaching, a private Facebook group, and an accountability clan. Yes, that's one thing that they'll tell you. I hold people accountable. So if you have a goal you want to reach before the end of the year and you need some accountability to achieve at least one SMART goal, and I'm not saying 10, one, come with me. And I want to make it accessible. So I created a promo code. Uh, it's called Equinox, and you'll get this in there. So don't worry about it. But for $99 for 5 weeks, it's $20. A couple of those cups of coffee that you just saw, the blue one or the orange one, and you're going to have the kind of support you need. All right. Who is ready for a journey? And then I'll stay on if anyone has any questions. So I created this journey, and you'll get to see like what the wind and the what the wind and the wind and the journey work, how it works together. And you can and what I like to do is I will separate it for you so that if you have you could go back and listen to it again later. But right now, why doesn't everyone get themselves comfortable? All right. And let's see if I can share. I'm going to share sound. It's not video. And get yourself comfortable, close your eyes, and go with this guided journey to see what goals you really have set this year, where you're at with them, and what you really want to still accomplish. And it's a wind journey. So I bring the wind in. It's a really fun journey. So I really hope you like it. And I will be here at the end. It's about a 10-minute journey. So get yourself comfortable. Erica, let me know that you can hear it. This is the fourth quarter journey of self-discovery and transformation. We're going to embark upon this guided journey to explore this year from the perspective of our harvest. We're going to look at our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And in the Wind Clan, Eurus represents the mental, Notice the emotional, Zephyrus the physical, and Boreas the spiritual. The purpose of this journey is to help you gain clarity, to set attention, and to align yourself with the energy of the equinox so that you can plant a second harvest for the year ahead. I invite you to get comfortable, close your eyes, and let's begin. We're going to begin by calling in Eurus, the east wind. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 deep wind breaths in with Eurus. And as we exhale, we're going to imagine that all of our mental energies are just going off with the wind, and we're going to become more and more comfortable as we deep breathe in and exhale Eurus. Think back to January and imagine yourself right at New Year's with the whole year right in front of you. Maybe you made a vision board, maybe you made a list. What was it that you wanted to accomplish? What was it that you set out to achieve in 2023? Then take a step forward. Imagine yourself walking forward through time and review that list. What mental goals are still important to you in 2023? What ones did you leave by the wayside? What are still weighing heavy in your mind? Visualize these goals that you still want to keep. And then invite Eurus in for one final wind breath to blow out those ideas, those mental constructs of things that you want to let go of with this fall harvest. Next, we're going to call and notice the south wind. And again, we're going to take those deep 3 wind breaths in and out. And we're going to scan our emotional body and ask, notice, show me what emotions are still living in my body, disappointments, excitements, things that are lodged into my body that show me what I need, what I desire, what I think that I deserved, what I didn't deserve. And do a head-to-toe body scan with notice. Imagine yourself in front of this big lake and take out the emotions that no longer serve you, the ones that didn't get you the results you wanted, and then put them in the water so that the water can wash them away. And watch the wind spread ripples across the lake as these emotions are being washed away. And then scan your body one more time. We're moving in with Zephyrus, the west wind, to scan our physical. Breathe in Zephyrus 3 times. And exhale. And scan your physical landscape of 2023. What were those ideas and those dreams that you wrote down or put on your vision board? Survey them. And then look at your life and see if you actually took physical action to make those dreams come true. Where did you put your effort? Where was more effort needed? Where can you still put effort as the fourth quarter comes around? Ask Zephyrus to take these seeds of what you still want to plant and put them somewhere safe upon your body. Hold them. And then we're going to move to the north. And we're going to call upon Boreas, the north wind. Breathe in Boreas and breathe in the community support and breathe in the spiritual support. And as you exhale, let go of anything that's not aligned to your spirit, that's not aligned to your best interest. Ideas that maybe didn't get the community support. And now give Boreas the winds that we And now give Boreas the seeds that you collected in the west and ask Boreas to take those seeds and with its mighty breath, spread them out for a second planting. giving them the spiritual and the community buy-in that they need so that you can still grow a thriving harvest for 2023. And then thank these winds, Eurus of the east, Notice of the south, Zephyrs of the west, and Boreas of the north. And as you come back into your body, imagine yourself walking through this landscape, this mystical landscape, feeling into the qualities of yourself that you want to share more of, feeling inner peace and mindful and a deep sense of purpose. Feel yourself grounded in the earth. And as you come back to the room, ask these wind spirits, which wind wants to work with me for the rest of the year? Is it Eurus? Is it Notice? Is it Zephyrus? Is it Boreas? Can I call upon you to keep me accountable? And as you get that answer, know that you're in perfect harmony with the world and the universe. And take one more deep wind breath in. And as you exhale, come back to the room. And then take a few notes. How are we feeling here? If there's people who would like to stay around and share their experience, I'm open to that. If you want to leave, that's good too. And I'd love to meet some of the new people here and hear about your dreams and what you learned. And also, if you want to join us for the 5-week program, you'll get an email and you can join in on that and move from there. So if anyone would like to share, I'm going to stop the recording so you don't have to feel that part. And I want to thank everyone for being part of this visioning class. I think I got a lot from that meditation.